Hello, world. It's John Pinto, your roving realtor, bon vivant video blogger, and I am here with Ted Stephanos, all things HomeGuard, natural hazard disclosures. How are you, Ted, today?
I'm doing good, John. Good to see you.
Excellent. And Rafael, your HomeGuard concierge. How are you doing, Rafael?
Hello, everybody. Thank you for having us again.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about right to farm disclosure ordinance initiated on January 1st, 2009. And I will tell you this, when I drive through Sonoma with all the cow farms and the cow pucky in the air, I understand the disclosure of right to farm. Would you say that's a good way of kicking off this conversation on right to farm disclosure, Ted?
Yeah, was that term cow what?
Cowpucky.
Pucky.
Cowpucky.
Explain.
Yes. Well, if you have cows, they leave pucky behind them. Cowpucky.
Okay, that's what I thought you meant. I wasn't sure. Okay. Yeah, pucky. Yeah, the pucky can get in the air and be unpleasant. That's for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, this is a statewide disclosure, of course, and it is required to disclose if the property that you're listing is within 1 mile of any land that is deemed as either prime agricultural land. It could even be grassland or grazing land, definitely farms, etc. Now, and also orchards as well. A lot of orchards in the state. So the whole issue here is the fact that if you are a buyer buying near one of these areas, you need to be aware that those farmers have a right to farm and conduct their activities. As long as it's within the allotted hours and materials being used. But it could be noise, from farming machinery. It could be herbicide or pesticide use. It could be smells, the pucky. So, or garlic for that matter. Where I live in the South Bay, we get that morning breeze from Gilroy that comes up, and it really affects the the whole South Bay when you get the garlic in the air. Now, if you're living down in those areas, Morgan Hill and Gilroy, of course, there is a lot of agriculture going on down there. In the Bay Area, South Bay, Silicon Valley, there's only one or two orchards left. When I grew up here, there was nothing but cherries and apricots everywhere, or apricots, depending on how you say it. But gone are those days of farming in Silicon Valley, really. But those are times where there was a lot of agriculture going on, and it was a real hot topic. So one other thing I want to say too is, like, when a buyer goes to an open house on a Saturday or Sunday, they may not even be aware of the fact that they're living near farmland, and they need to be cognizant of the fact that where they're buying and the influences of things going on around them.
So let's talk a little bit about how I have experienced it. First of all, every now and then, early in the morning, I will hear what sounds like shotguns going off, evidently to scare the birds away from vineyards or whatever. And I see little complaints from the neighbors on the neighborhood websites about how the dogs are going psychotic hearing the shotguns in the background. Can you comment on that little episode?
Well, if it's okay by local ordinance to do that, to make those noises to scare birds away, then those vineyard owners have all the right to do that.
Well said.
Now, if it's being done at 3 in the morning, and they're not supposed to do it until like 6 in the morning, then there's an issue that those residents have an issue there to stand on, something to stand on. But there's so many rules and regulations, and especially when it comes to farming, that they have that right to farm and conduct those activities, as long as it's within the guidelines that's been you know put
I
in.
would imagine that more often than not you've got agricultural land being converted into residential subdivisions, so they're surrounded by farmland, and they're probably moving from a city environment, and they have really no idea as to checking the kinds of farming operations that are going on in the immediate vicinity, what the prevailing winds are. So I guess that's the kind of practical considerations when you're signing that right to farm ordinance disclosure, correct, Ted?
Yeah, that's 100% true. Up and down the Central Valley, and like I mentioned, Morgan Hill and Gilroy, where you have a lot of newer subdivisions that are, uh, that were once not long ago agricultural land. Sure, it's a very hot topic, and we're also, it can also be rodents and things like that,
Hmm.
mice, field mice. Um, Again, that's in the disclosure as well, because that's, a lot of times you might have an influx of critters like that are coming back onto your property, and because you're adjacent to farmland and things like that, so that's an issue as well.
I guess you also would run up the flagpole, um, residential property being serviced by wells as opposed to municipal water, and checking the potability and the chemical construction of the water because of possible runoff with pesticides. Would that be another potential red flag that would come up from the right to farm disclosure?
I don't believe that is a coverage. That would be more in the environmental disclosure report that we provide,
Hmm.
where you have contaminants from whether it's pesticides or other sources that would infiltrate into the groundwater. But that wouldn't be I don't know. I have to look into that if that's. I don't remember that being as part of the right to farm disclosure. It's more of a environmental issue. Environmental.
Right. Well, when you think about it, all these disclosures have to be looked at holistically rather than standing on their own, because there is some common ground, there is some crossover with the disclosures, and I think the right to farm disclosure is yet again another poor stepchild in the real estate business. The stars of the disclosures are getting the roof inspection, getting the termite inspection, the home inspection, the preliminary title report. Something as obscure as right to farm may fall to the bottom of the pile as you're initialing and signing and dating the 450th page that you're looking at in the disclosures. How do you feel about that commentary, Ted?
Yeah, that is true, and it really is a geographic thing too, because where you don't have, say, for example, San Francisco, you know,
Hmm.
yeah, it's not even an issue because
Right.
there is no farmland in San Francisco. But the Central Valley and those, especially like you were talking about, those newer communities that abut up to farmland in a lot of communities up and down the Sacramento Valley, real hot topic, real hot button issue.
Yeah. Salinas, Monterey, Bakersfield, Fresno, Sacramento,
Sure, there's a
um,
lot.
so Solano County.
Yeah, now
Indeed.
like Los Angeles County, the like city of Los Angeles, a massive city, hardly any right to farm zones in those areas.
Right. Well, yet again, another disclosure for you to be mindful, and as inconsequential as it might be, as much of a poor stepsister as it might be, trust me, if you're buying in a brand new subdivision surrounded by agricultural activities and you're not familiar with what they're farming, how they're farming, what the prevailing winds are, you could be in for some unpleasantries. I'm not saying that you should not buy brand new subdivision adjacent in an agricultural activities, but you do need to be mindful that this is a thing. So, anything in conclusion, Ted?
No, and I again I touch back on the the open house time. A lot of times people will go and see a house and fall in love with it on a Saturday or Sunday, but first come, Monday when they move in, all of a sudden there's farming activities going on and they might be shocked by that. So just because it's nice and quiet during that Saturday, Sunday, buyers need to be aware of their surroundings and what can be adversely affecting them.
Very helpful words of wisdom to potential home buyers. Thank you very much, Ted, for imparting that. And Rafael, if people want to contact you, how do they reach you if they want to order roof termite home inspection or get any more information?
Absolutely. If you guys, want to have a conversation about the services and or just want to learn, how you can leverage the experience of HomeGuard, you can text me. My direct phone line is 707-616-8762. Or you can email me at rbetances@homeguard.com. That's the letter R, my last name, @homeguard.com.
Thank you, gentlemen, and thank you all for watching, and we will see you on the next video.